So here goes. Um, hi, Soul Alchemist. Hi, Pratima. Nice to see you guys. Um, and this is probably going to be a pretty yappy live. I have a few minutes. I'm really excited to just talk about with no agenda, with no co-host, but just to say something that's been on my heart for a long time. And it has to do with fear. Has to do with the two voices in our head that we always have. Um, so just this someone may ask me like, who am I qualified to even speak on abundance? And sometimes I struggle heavily with that, right? Um, but after closing a $19,000 month last month, it's October 1 right now. I'm starting to really understand it, and I'm starting to feel more qualified to understand to say what I've learned. Um, and um, like it has a lot to do with the permission to just say that when you are in the mode of making a decision of choosing abundance versus fear. Many people will choose fear without even realizing it. And fear often disguises itself in our world as responsibility. Fear disguises itself in our world as being good. If you're a good girl, if you're a good boy, you'll do these things. And so we make these decisions from a place of if I'm good, then I'll make this decision. When actually you're really just you're trying to maintain safety. Um, Maybe you're trying to be responsible. Maybe you're thinking about your kids when you're about to make a big decision, if you're about to purchase a coaching program and you're thinking, oh my gosh, where am I going to get the money from? I mean, the money can come from anywhere, right? The money can come from a loan. The money can come from cobbling together money that you bring together from your family. The money can come from an inheritance. The money can come from you selling um, or accessing your 401k. Um, Gail Keys Allen, who's popping off on Substack right now. Actually, I remember Gail because um Gail, I watched Gail several years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. She was in Kathy Heller's program and she was giving a testimonial for it when I was joining. And I remember Gail saying how she took out, I think it was $18,000 from her 401k to pay for her life coach certification. And she recently just said that she just had a $16,000 month. I've also heard her, she's manifested things like $55,000 in 10 days. All right. So that $18,000 that someone would have said, that's so irresponsible. That's so irresponsible. What about your grandchild? What about, your daughter? It's so irresponsible for you to take money out of your 401k and use it to live your life. Um, it's those voices. It's that voice that sounds honestly so logical when you're in the mode, when your heart is racing and you're about to make a buying decision. You're on that sales call and that salesperson is calling you up to the higher timeline for yourself. And there's a reason that you're on that sales call because there was something that kind of pulled you to click the buttons and show up on that call on time because there was a part of you that said, I want this. I want a bigger life. But as soon as you hear the number, the price, you hear the price and you start your vision starts to narrow because your fear response has been activated. And your fear response has been activated and you can't think clearly. You can't think of all the different ways that you could manifest the money to pay for this next level thing that's going to significantly enhance your life. Um, and when you are thinking like this, you have activated the fear response and you are no longer thinking in the abundance mindset anymore. Um, and that is in a nutshell how you don't access abundance. You access scarcity. Um, Now the reason I say this is because I have had several sales calls in the past few weeks or so conversations with people who have called themselves coaches, abundance coaches, um, manifestation coaches, all these different kinds of coaches who preach a bigger life. And no one, by the way, no one is exempt from a fear response. Every single person has a fear response. My sales coach, Macy McNeely, who makes millions of dollars, even she goes through, can I afford it or not? Can I afford it or not? But the reason I say this is because there's I want to help you remember that you are going to be faced with these decisions, dozens of these, over the course of your lifetime, if you want to live a big, beautiful, happy, abundant life. You're going to have to invest in coaches. You're going to probably want to invest in real estate agents. You're going to want to invest in lawyers and accountants and people that are helping you, personal assistants. You're going to want to invest in possibly housekeepers to help you live this bigger life. And every single one of these decisions and every single one of these people come with a buying decision, right? You can choose to save money or you can choose to invest in this bigger lifestyle. So let's just talk about housekeeper for right now. I just recently hired a personal assistant. Her name is Tara and she's amazing. And I can link her affiliate link in the comments below after this. But, um, so I remember a point in my life when, and anybody here probably can feel, understands these thoughts too, where you can even hear it right now. Someone or something, some voice is saying, that is just so irresponsible to pay $2,400 a year for a personal assistant. Why? Because I mean, I could save so much money. I could save $2,400. I could I could have that money in my bank account. What is that money really for? I mean, that just means I'm an irresponsible spender or whatever story you have going on in your brain, right? As I hired the personal assistant, even my husband was saying, $2,400 a year, that's X amount of hours that I work in my job. It's all these stories, all these justifications, all these words that are coming up. They're springing up. And you can even start to get to notice your chest tighten or any other somatic bodily systems, feelings that are coming up when you are noticing fear. If you feel like your throat starts to tighten, if you feel like your breath starts to get constricted, if you feel your chest tightening, um, that is fear. That is scarcity. That is stepping into a smaller life. All right. Um, because no one is denying that you're going to save $2,400. No one's denying that that money is not going to be spent on a personal assistant. The thing is that it's probably going to be spent anyway. It's probably just not going to be spent on the thing that's going to help you live a more relaxed, abundant lifestyle. You might spend it on something else, like, oh, you have to buy your family Christmas gifts at the end of the year. Well, then, oh, great, that money is still in your account. You'll probably spend it on those Christmas gifts, but you didn't actually end up spending that money on a personal assistant to help you feel more relaxed in your day-to-day life. So now let's think about what it would feel like to choose to say, I want to invest in a personal assistant. I would have to spend $2,400 a year on an assistant. So some people will think, oh my gosh, that means I'm spending money. That means I am that money is leaving my bank account. That means that, oh my gosh, like, what am I gonna do to pay for, I have all these other obligations. I have a child, I have my mortgage, I have all these things. And you're thinking about all the things that are leaving, the things that you don't have, rather than the things that you have or that you're gaining because you're spending that. When you have a mortgage, you are gaining a roof over your head. When you hire a personal assistant, that money is going towards feeding her family, feeding her children, helping you get your time back, helping you spend more time with your kids and your family, helping you have more laughter in your life. What do you gain by spending money? What do you get back? Then not only that, and this is turning into a bit of a rant because this is a bit of a rant. Because you will always get more than what you paid for it. Let me say that again. You will always get more than what you paid for it. And the reason I say that is because whenever you exchange money for something, that means you have told yourself, I am willing to get this thing. I want this thing more than I want my money. You are actually getting more value than the money has value. You are getting more value from money than the money even has to you. When you are spending money on Christmas gifts, wow, you are gaining the appreciation of the people that you're getting it for. You are gaining the love and the gratitude that you feel um when you spend that money on Christmas gifts. And you got that feeling from spending the money. Spending that money gave that value to you, right? So ultimately, here is what I have to say about living a bigger life. Many of us on Substack are building businesses. We're building coaching businesses. We're building consulting businesses. We are building something in some way to help other people. Um, and that means that we're going to need to, I don't know, like it could be anything. It might need that you're investing in an accountant. It might mean you're investing in trademarks. You're investing in sales skills. I recently spent $20,000 on a sales boot camp to learn how to sell, and that I've absolutely made that back. And there's going to be way more weight made back. Um, you're spending all sorts of things to grow your business. Um, and when you are faced with a decision to either invest or not, you're always going to have those two voices in your head. The version of you that is scared, that's responsible, that says, oh, I can do without it. I can make do without it. The version of you that says, I want to just save this money. And you can save money. There's actually nothing wrong with saving. We want to be wise with our spending decisions, right? Um, but there's also the higher version of you. The version of you that's already living the timeline that you're actually wanting. Um, she already feels ease. She already is prosperous. She already is making the money that you want to be making. It's already here. It's already done. Like, I'll have to admit, I don't actually know how this $19,000 a month came to fruition. It just did because the energy was aligned, because I was taking action from a place of being easefully abundant first. Um, so what I'm saying is that there will always be two people in your mind. And the people who you're looking at on Substack, like Gail Keys Allen, you're like, wow, how did she manifest $16,000 in a month? How did she do that? Or you're looking at other people who are like, Yeah, just like killing the game. Like Amy Sudo, who has 14,000 subscribers and is a Substack bestseller on Substack. How did she do that? I feel like how you trying to reverse engineer. But as soon as you come up against your own resistance, as soon as you're on a sales call and the salesperson presents to you this offer that can change your life, you back off. You're back off the ledge. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't. I'm scared. I am so scared. What does that mean? I don't have the money. You don't have the money because that's a story you're telling yourself. Everyone can find the money. You can find the money. I can find the money. My friend Nika, when when she needed to pay for a sales boot camp that she wanted to attend, it was like 175 or maybe it was like 75K. She got a loan. She cobbled together loans from friends. And she paid it off. It wasn't immediate. It wasn't an immediate payoff, but she paid it off. And now she's neutral again, and now she's living a bigger life than she had ever had before. Because what actually is abundance? What actually is money? It's all made up. It's all a shadow of something else, which is your wider perspective on life, your bigger perspective on value, your bigger perspective on the value you see in yourself, a bigger perspective on the value you see in other people. Money is not real. Okay? You want the money because you want something in your life. You want to live a bigger life. You want to live a more aligned life, authentic life, a life where you feel on fire every day. If you're in corporate America, I was in corporate America. I know the feeling of being like, I don't want to have to ask my manager to take off time just to go to a doctor's appointment. Or I had to explain to her that that I had a doctor's appointment and like why was I like, I'm an adult. I don't need to explain to someone that feeling of feeling trapped. I was imagining a life where I could set my own schedule, where I could spend a month in Palermo, Sicily, or a month in Bulgaria, or spend 2 weeks in Australia while having an abundant business. I wanted that life. And so I chose that by making crazy decisions that felt crazy at the time, but have paid off immensely because I decided that they would pay off. Okay. So here, I guess I want to go through some common objections that I hear from people, and everybody goes through this. I've gone through this. And maybe you are going through this, but I just really want you to be aware of this because being aware of these thoughts is gonna help you live that bigger, abundant lifestyle. All right. Rather than you're like 20 years later, you're like, why am I still in corporate America? Oh, it's because I continue to choose fear. That's why you're still in corporate America. Yeah, you got promoted. Yeah, you still got da 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 da, but you're still like, why am I still here? I was supposed to have left like 20 years ago. Well, this is why. Okay. Number one, big one I've heard is that I was scammed by a coach, an agent, an agency. I was scammed by someone or something in the past, and therefore I cannot move forward anymore. I cannot hire another coach. I cannot hire another agency because I was scammed in the past. And I get it. I understand why you would feel this way, and I value making sure that my money goes to something that feels good and has an ROI to it as well. And I'm so sorry that happened to you. But you learned something from that experience, didn't you? You learned why you fell for it. There was something in your mind, something about that story that you wanted when that scammer um told you something. They were saying, we'll get you leads. We will help you. We'll get you. This is the exact system that you need to get to where you need to go. You don't have to do a single work. You don't got to engineer nothing. This is how you got to do it. All you got to do is this. And there was something that said, wow, I'm so grateful that someone figured it out and I can just implement this in my business. And maybe it didn't work out. Maybe it didn't. I've spent thousands of dollars on things that didn't work out, but I chose to see the value in the money that I paid for it. All right. I was once on a mastermind call with Jack Canfield. Who's Jack Canfield? Jack Canfield is the creator. He's a co-creator with Mark Victor Hansen of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. They have sold over 500 million copies. Something crazy. I spent $12,000 to speak with Jack for maybe 45 minutes. One person might have seen that as, wow, that was, and all they did was just give me ideas. They didn't actually help me sell any more books. We just talked, right? And someone might have said that was a waste of time. That was kind of a scam. That wasn't like worth it. Whereas another person could have interpreted that as, wow, I made a lot of friends in that experience. I gained a new perspective from that experience. I got to meet Jack Canfield from that experience, someone I've admired for a very long time. Wow, thank goodness. And I can always make that money back, right? Um, so here is a question for you. Maybe if you felt like you've been scammed before, if you feel like you have paid an agency to help you or a coach to help you and they didn't quite get you the results that you were hoping for, or even that they promised, that does not mean that a different coach could help you now. Why? Because you now have a different perspective, because you are different now. You have learned something. You're a different person now than the person that you were before. You have you understand marketing better. You understand podcasts better. You understand books better. Something you learned in that experience, that you now take with you forward in your life. And that means that any coach or any program that you sign up for, you're going to know what questions to ask. You've learned something. And that's actually who I choose to want to work with more than anything else is the person who realizes that life and entrepreneurship is less about the money and less about the survival and more about the learning, more about the person you become from what you learn, more about the person you transform into and the people you transform because of what you have learned. All right. So, if you have felt like you've been scammed in the past, perhaps it might be time to revisit that story. Maybe it's time to look at what you did gain from that. What did you learn from that? Um, and move forward. There's a whole world of people who are helping so many people and getting paid wonderful money for it, and you get to be that person too. It just might mean that you need to crack a few more eggs to make an omelet. Okay. And hopefully you don't have to crack any more eggs. Hopefully you're making omelets now, right? Only you can be the person that decides that. Number two, I have seen people who, as soon as they're presented with the price of a coaching, when they are, um, on a sales call or presented with an offer because like they've been looking for a problem to their solution for a long time. And they go to the sales call and they're like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely perfect. This is what I've been needing. This is what I've been searching for a very long time. Hi, Greg. It's so good to see your comment. I'm so happy to see you. Good to hear from you. But when, the salesperson says the value, 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 this is what can get you. This is going to save you so much time. And in fact, this is the thing that you've been looking for a long time, right? And they're like, yes, this is exactly what I've been looking for. I'm like, great. The salesperson says, no problem. Here's the price. Here's the investment. Here's what you need to do for skin in the game to ensure that you get the results that you're looking for. And the person says immediately, so the two voices again, one voice is the abundance voice that says, okay, step forward into faith. And then there's the other voice that says, oh gosh, steps back into fear. We all have those two voices. Doesn't matter if you're making millions of dollars, billions of dollars, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, doesn't matter. Everyone has those two voices in their head. And if you find yourself being the kind of person that is more suspicious, distrusting, filled with doubt, filled with fear, filled with condemnation for what this money means to your mortgage, to your life, to your all these things, to all your responsibilities. And I don't want to say responsibilities lightly because I understand, I do understand that. But you will stay stuck until you break that cycle. All right. You just will. That's the prescription. That's the statement, period, end of story. This is the level you will stay at if you decide to fall back into fear. And this is actually my permission slip for myself to, instead of allowing that person to just step back into fear, just being like, I can't. I got this, I got that, I got that. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I get it. I've been in that scenario before where you're spiraling into the vortex of all the things that you got to pay for. But I want to help you remember your power, which is God's creative principle, which is that money is unlimited and you can bring money from anywhere. I want to remind you of this. Jen Sincero has this crazy story about how she figured out how to pay for an $85,000 coaching program when she worked with Gina DeVee. If you don't know who Jen Sincero is, she's the author of How You Are a Badass. Very popular, famous book. And Jen Sincero didn't have $85,000 to pay for this coaching program. But instead of choosing, I can't afford it because my business isn't making that much money yet. I have these bills to pay, all these different things about reasons why she couldn't do it. She said, it's done. I'm going to figure out a way to make it work. So she tried to she was thinking about who would loan me the money. And she got on a plane. She never says who it exactly is, but she got on a plane to visit a friend she hadn't talked to in a while. This friend apparently had more money than she knew what to do with, and she also believed in Jen. And so Jen goes up to this friend and tells her the story about who she wanted to be now in this lifetime, and sold that friend on herself, on Jen. So it wasn't the money. It was the self-belief that was the money. The money materialized it lagged behind Jen having self-belief in herself before the money materialized for her to then go pay Gina DeVee for this coaching program that has then led to, You Are a Badass is like by far one of the most popular selling books in the past decade. All because Jen was done with self-doubt. Because Jen was tired of not believing in herself. You can have that too. My friend Nika, she is an author coach. She was telling me a story about how she was approached by a prospect who was a single mom. She had an autistic son, and this person, she was not making a lot of money at all. She was, struggling for all intents and purposes. And she approached Nika and said, I want to hire you as my life coach. And Nika said, great, it's going to be $15,000 for the year. This person, this woman did not have $15,000 to throw around. She had she's a single mom. She has a son. She has to pay for their living expenses. So she could have said, well, I have this to pay for. Great. Or what she instead did was she said, I do have all of these things and I get to become the person I've always wanted to be in this lifetime. So she tried to find the money. So what she did, she went to her dad and said, hey, like, what inheritance were you going to give me when you died? And he said a number. And she said, would you rather give that inheritance to me after you die and see me become the person that you've always wanted me to be after you die? Or would you rather come to me, or would you rather see me become the person that you've always wanted me to be and that I've always wanted to be while you're still alive? While you're still alive. You can see me. You can watch me, your daughter, show that she actually loves herself and that she actually isn't isn't beaten down. Is a living embodiment of love. Um, and he gave her the money. And she worked with Nika for a year. And Nika says that she hasn't made all that money back yet. But she has become a whole different person, confident, beautiful, because she knows that she's beautiful, because she knows that she's confident, because she believes in herself. That self-belief is what materializes the money. It's not the money. The money is a shadow of something else. It's the shadow of self-belief, of self-value, self-worth, self-confidence. And then the third thing I want to share with you is that, yeah, many of us want to be business owners or have a business on Substack. You know, yesterday I was on a call with Amy Sudo. Um, that to that audience, it was a lot of those people were to ghostwriters, to writers, people who were looking to break out of corporate America and go into hang a shingle and be their own writer. And Greg, I know you're a writer. Um, and it takes a level of trust. Greg, thank you for that. Um, a level of trust in yourself that is not required in corporate America to not just leave your job, but to also show up on social media, to sell on sales calls, to put a proposal together, even though you've never put a proposal together before in your life, um, to complete your first project, even though you've never worked with a client before. You're like, who gave me the permission to do this? No one gave you the permission. You gave yourself permission to do that. You know, like Amy, she's a seven-figure ghostwriter. Who gave her permission to start um to start completing projects on Upwork and being a freelance writer? Who gave her permission to start charging $750 an hour and then $1,000 an hour? And then I don't know how much her rate is now. It's astronomical. I mean, to the regular ghostwriter, for her, that's her standard. That's her normal. That's like a Tuesday afternoon for her. Who gave her the permission? She did. She gave herself permission. Herself permission. Um, so here's what I'm offering to you. If you are currently charging $60 an hour for your services, great. That's fine. But I want you to remember your value. I want you to think about what you're actually doing for other people. You're helping them lose weight, feel more sexy, get more orgasms, sell more books, save time, which ultimately does what? Gives them back their freedom, gives them time back with their kids, helps them have a better sex life than ever before, which helps them have a more harmonious marriage, which means a better and more peaceful household, which means stronger, healthier kids, which means stronger and healthier next generation. I mean, you're the ripple effects that you have on this world go beyond you. You are ultimately helping people realize 10, 20, 30, $100,000 of value, maybe not money, maybe not US dollars, maybe not euros, but value, life commissions in happiness, in joy, in fulfillment, satisfaction. And you get to be worthy. You are worthy of getting a part of that. So when you undercharge someone, when you only charge $50 for your services, there's something there regarding your worthiness and your self-worth that you're not allowing yourself to charge more. I've been there myself. I know what that feels like, especially if you don't have any testimonials and you're just starting out. But the amount of money that your businesses makes is 100% related to your prices, which is 100% related to the story you have around your self-worth. Which, by the way, is constant. It's 100. It doesn't go up or down. It's just 100. It's not related to the money you make or the price you charge. It's actually completely unrelated. There's like a knife. It's like a clean knife that goes because they're unrelated. They're non-associated. The amount you charge is not related to your self-worth because your self-worth is at 100, is constant 100. And it can't be affected by what you do. All right. So if you want to grow, if you want to have a coaching business that helps you have a more flexible lifestyle, so you can pick up your kids at 3 p.m. every day, so that you can spend more time at home with your kids who are going to college next year, so that you can just feel more like yourself, not spending all your time for someone else, but you want to get your time back and use it for yourself. You want to spend your life growing. If you want to go on more vacations, if you want to go on more luxury vacations, damn, I love luxury vacations. They're amazing. Yeah, I'm hoping next year we go to Greece again. You get to have that. But you don't get to have that if your business isn't making money, and your business isn't making money because you are staying stuck, because you are making $50 an hour, because you have this association with your self-worth and the amount of money you're charging. It's time to unravel those stories. Yes, all those associations in your brain look like this. There's a lot of neurons that have over time have just gotten, it's just become a habit that you've associated your life and your self-worth with the amount of money you make. And in fact, it's a super common story in most capitalistic societies because and humans are tribal species, and tribes come with hierarchies especially in humans. Humans have a natural way of creating social hierarchies, and a lot of them have to do with money, because money is generally associated with ability, and your ability to get things done and influence and impact, and more like influence people. Have its power, okay? Um, I'm not really sure what to say about this. Those were the three main things that I see commonly in my line of work, in the sales calls I have, the common objections that I see. And only after unraveling every single one of those associations was it able to finally was the money, which is, I hate even using that word because it's a fake word, um, until it started to really come in. And it really is. It's starting to come in. Now, are there any questions? This was like a rant for myself. and really more of a permission slip for myself to probe anyone who's on a sales call with me the next time. Watch out. All right, watch out. You're not getting away with anymore. I got this. I got that. I got that. Da, 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 da. Because if Jen Sincero can find a way, if that single mom with an autistic son can find a way, if Gail Keys Allen can find a way, if you can find a way to, your son got into Harvard, you're gonna find a way to pay for your son to go to Harvard, are you not? Or whatever it is, whatever dream that they have. My friend Christina Ramirez, her son got into NYU for one of the best music programs in the country, and she said, "I'm going to find a way." NYU is so expensive. She's like, "I'm finding a way." She's currently living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So she moved there from New Mexico because but that's where her business partner lived, so that she could actually grow that business so she can pay for her son to go to NYU. If they can find a way, you can find a way. I'm not letting you off the hook anymore. This is like me. I'm like looking at myself in the mirror right now, and I'm looking at all you guys. Greg, like, you're like so good. I'm like, okay, thank you, Greg. Like, your encouragement is like so lovely. I'm so grateful for your words. If you're on a sales call with me, you're not getting up. You better watch out, because we're unraveling that story right now, on the call. I'm not waiting for you to figure it out, in your own, to your own devices. And then, all of a sudden you're watching TV and you are thinking about the state of the world and you're getting all this negativity into your mind. And then you're starting to complain about the negative state of the world. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about how negative the world is when you are the world, when you need to be the change that you want to see in the world, right? You are the world. You influence your world. Your candlelight affects everyone else's candlelight. So when you're all in your negativity and I'm so afraid, it's just so irresponsible to live lit up in my life. We're going to be talking about that on the call. So be ready. Okay. And I'm also giving myself permission to not really play no more Mr. Nice Renee. Okay. Like, before I was like, no, I get it. Like, yeah, I understand you have a mortgage, you got kids, you got all these things, and you gotta take care of all these things, and I let them off the hook, not realizing that this is actually doing them a disservice over the long term. People are like, "I'm aging and I can't do this," and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's my last hurrah." I'm like, "Okay, you are currently in your low vortex energy." And let's think about people who made a massive impact at an older age. Mother Teresa, Gandhi, who else? Not Jane Goodall. She's currently older now. Okay, Mother Teresa and Gandhi. They were older when the real impact was being made. They really think like, "Oh my god, this is my last hurrah. I gotta try this." You're like, no. What was more important was to feel God moving through them, was to be the open channel for God to move in this world. That was the most important thing. And when you choose fear every single time, you shut it down. You shut down God being able to move through you. God wants your hands. God wants your eyes. God wants your lips to help him get his word out. That is God's creative principle acting in this world. It's you. And every time you feel fear, you shut it down. Okay, I'm getting a little passionate now, so I think I'm done. Any questions? Any questions at all? And then it's already at 1:53, and um, I hope this triggers people. In fact, I I think I'm ready to move into the place in my life where I'm like, I'm good. I feel safe triggering people. I feel fine triggering people. I'm not letting people off the hook. You get you can have your story, but you don't get to have your story without me questioning your story. How about that? Okay. So, um, questions at all? I am going to check my email right now. Happy to engage with anyone who has any questions. Um, or even if like we want to like problem solve together. Like if you're like, I'm also in sales calls. I also get these objections all the time. And like we're like, you know what? We can be accountability partners. And we can be like, hey, did you let them off the hook today? Oh, yeah, great, because I didn't let them off the hook today. Great. All right. Greg, I so appreciate your words. By the way, I just appreciate your energy and your and participation all the time. Um, I love seeing your name come through in the workshop last month. Like you like filled out the little like intro and I was like, "Greg, thank you so much for doing that." I love seeing you here. I love seeing your comments. Thank you for your encouragement and your words. So, okay, that's all I got. If no one got any comments, no questions, then go back to eating lunch or whatever you guys are doing. So, cool. Thanks. Bye.